Hello, guys, and welcome back to the pod. I'm so glad you guys are here as I continue to share my testimony bit by bit. I'm truly grateful for this opportunity the Lord has granted me, the courage He's given me to share this story that's not easy to share, but I choose to step out my boat and share my story with the whole world. Previously, I remember I was counting down on, I ended up in the pit, basically. I seemed helpless about what was going on around me. It was truly, truly dark times. Everything that was going around. When you are fighting something and you can't get up, you tend to try to force and try to get yourself up. It might work at some point, whenever you get knocked down, you might try to lift yourself up. But there's some times where you really get knocked down that you can't pick yourself up and you need help. And that's basically what was happening to me. I was not trying to call for help. I was not trying to get my family to worry about me. I wasn't trying to tell them what I'd been doing, the day of my birthday. I did not want all of that to come out, to be honest, because I got brothers, sisters, siblings that have been going through the same thing, that do not go to the same thing again, that do not want to go to the same thing again. It's some of their past lives, but again, I was putting that in front of their face again, and I could tell how uneasy it was for some of them. But yeah, as I was having trouble really sleeping, that was the main part. Having trouble sleeping, that was like something that I never struggled with. It was a lot of sleepless nights and a lot of time where I was worried. And finally, I was like, I tried to fight it. I tried to be like, I can't really sleep, and I don't want to tell everybody that I can't sleep. But sometimes when it's too tough, you can't hold it anymore, and you have to tell it. So I told my family, I told everything about what happened. It was really hard telling them the truth, but the truth is what's necessary in those moments. The truth is really what sets you free. And I wanted to go over a Bible verse. I believe it's John 8:36 or 38. The verse says, if the Son sets you free, you will be free indeed. It's a verse that I've always seen, but in the course of time, it became a very meaningful verse for me, because it led me to pronouncing those very words when I was helpless. Those words were, I am free. And I said it out loud. But before that, I just want to go over what led to that moment. So as I was talking to my family and telling them, they prayed over and they told me, stay home, watch some sermons, and listen to some worship music. Hopefully that will help. And guys, of course it helped. The worship music, I discovered myself in the worship music. Worship music is now my go-to. That's like my weapon right now. But back then I didn't know that. I didn't know that worship music, like insane. To think that music would be such a powerful weapon, it's like insane. But it is true. In the Bible, we have like a very, very famous story about Joshua, who was a prophet that came after Moses. Joshua led the people of Israel to literally tear down walls by using music. That's That's insane. Just the context of it is insane. To think about it. Music took down walls. That just shows you the power of music right there. But I did not know that. Back then, I did not know about all those secret weapons that the Lord has granted us, put at our disposal. But as I stayed home, watching sermons, listening to worship music, the sermons, how can I say this? The sermons were, wow. The sermons were like somebody was speaking directly to me through the TV. And guys, I was 1 year into being baptized, and when I was watching those sermons, most of those sermons were calling out lukewarm Christians, lukewarm believers, people that are double-minded, people that are unsure which way to choose. So basically, that's what the sermons were doing. Like, I remember I watched a sermon, he said that thing. I watched another sermon, same thing. Third sermon, same thing. That was running me crazy because I felt like they were talking to me. They were like, hey, you, double-minded, blah, blah, blah. You know you're going to hell. Why don't you change? That was like the Lord directly speaking to me and telling me that, it's not going to work. Living one foot in, one foot out, it's not going to work. It's just going to be painful. And that's when I realized what I was doing. I realized that it was tough and I was crumbling. I started crying, I remember. I was crying so loud that my sister came and she saw me crying and she was like, why are you crying? I could not even answer her. But as I was crying, those very words came out of my mouth. And there was a guy, I don't know if somebody told me to say it, because the moment is a little bit blurred for me, because I remember I was writing on my notebook. I had a notebook where I was writing, like when I go to church, I always use a notebook to take notes. So I had my notes there. And I kept writing things I was going through. I was confessing. So the sermon struck fear into my heart. And I was like, oh my God, oh Lord, I need to confess. So I was writing my confessions. I was like, I did this, I did that, I did this. I need to repent for this. So I was writing, and I put the paper there. Then when I was looking at the list, I was like, wow, I'm not a great person. I'm probably heading to hell right now, because in my mind, I was dying basically. And I was like, if I happen to die today, where would I go? In my mind, I was like, there's no way I will head for paradise or heaven. That's what grieved me. And I remember just standing up and worshiping, asking God for forgiveness, worshiping the whole way through. And at some point I just screamed, I am free. At that moment, I did not know what I did. But looking back today, at that moment, which happened in 2020, that was 3 powerful words that probably set me free at that moment. But blinded by my circumstances, blinded by the wave, I did not realize it because I had shallow faith. But those words will set you free. I am free. That will set you free. Words like that will take down giants. Take down just words like that. Words of affirmations. When I say those words, I sat down and I started looking. And I remember it was a very peaceful moment. I sat down for about 1 or 2 hours, just staring. And then at some point, I got up. I started panicking because I did not know what happened. I panicked and I went over to my dad and told him, I'm not feeling well. I need to go to the hospital. Which, for me, honestly, it's a foolish move because the Lord can heal you, but you choose to go to the hospital. And, when I look back at it, I think I was already healed. I was healed already because I had pronounced words of life, words of freedom. Whatever was binding me at that moment, I lost power already. But me, with shallow faith, not really knowing where I was, not knowing what was going on, I decided to go to the hospital. But before that, I had a conversation with my big brother that was back in Belgium. And I explained everything that I did, everything I went through. He was disappointed, and he told me some words that I'm not going to say those words, but those words were really striking. That was like a sword, into my soul. And I remember that's when I realized that I'd let people down because I look up to my big brother. I look up to him. And when he said that, he was like, oh, you shouldn't have done that and things like that. I realized that I let him down. And, that grieved me again. And after that, my dad drove me to the hospital. Went in the hospital. I had a very, very long wait before I had seen anybody. While waiting, I was visibly if they had a camera there, they would see me just walking around. I was panicking because nothing was going easy. Nothing was going well. I was just walking back and forth. And finally, somebody saw me. And I explained everything. I say, I have this thing on my throat. I'm not breathing well and I'm having trouble sleeping. I remember when I said that, they looked at me. Whoever was the nurse, I think, she looked at me. She was like, trouble sleeping. And I don't know if I should have said that, but as I told her that, I think that was a year. I told her that and she was confused. And guess what? They actually managed to get me something to sleep. But I don't remember. I can't even really tell if I even took it once I got home. But I got home and I was still uneasy. I remember I was still uneasy. I can recall I was still a bit shaky because I was just, panicking at the fear of death, fear of or whatever that was going through my mind. And I remember, I can recall when I was at the hospital, I just saw people walking around the street, looking happy and feeling, and as I was looking through the windows, I could see just people happy, walking, healthy. And I remember just thinking to myself, am I ever going to be like that again? That was just what was going through my mind. I was just, sad and, sad about what was going on in my life. And I was like, am I ever going to get on my feet again? That's what was going through me. But as I got home, it was tough because I remember the following days was just, same thing. I would wake up. I would wake up and from barely sleeping, I think, because again, I was having trouble sleeping, but I would wake up and, do my regular stuff, wake up, listen to worship music, watch sermons, write, and trying to get back to what I was actually doing, things like running, working out and all that. But I was not able to do it. So, and he was during a break, a Christmas break, that all of this was going on, like towards the end of the year. But yeah, that was basically what I transpired once I got to the hospital. And after that, it was just back and forth, trying to stay alive and everything. But I'm glad everything that happened, because looking back now, I can see now that the Lord was trying to teach me something through that moment, through everything that I went through. It wasn't easy, but it was necessary. That'll be all for today's episode. And on next episode, I will be unfolding about how I got up and how I fell again. But it's a story for another episode. Again, I thank you guys for tuning in and listening. I hope you guys are able to join me again as I continue to share, everything that happened. And you guys just take it easy. And I pray the Lord of peace will be with you all. Thank you guys for listening again. Peace out.